Okay, we're back, episode 7. And I just have to say, we are simpatico with our outfits. We never text each other about our outfits.
We never do. We always somehow coordinate.
Today, the theme is t-shirt and the necklace layering and blue bright nails.
I know. Your blue nails did inspire my blue nails. I also just really am trying to bring on spring, warm weather. So I went with my like bright summer nails.
Summer's early, folks. You heard it here first.
Yes. The seasonal depression has got to go. Yeah. So I needed something bright. So we went with my bright blue.
And I think that's a rite of passage for just like any female trying to plan her wardrobe for a season. She's like, oh, it's winter. It's time for me to be a neutral girly through and through. Spring pops up. The seasonal depression, it's time to
phasing out the dark colors,
dig ourselves out.
For me, that is surrounded by my nail polish color.
I feel like you have always done your own nails. So does that mean you were doing your own nails in high school and like college?
Yes. I think I started more in like college, but I have always done my own nails. I think I've maybe gotten a manicure like twice in my life. Once for my wedding, and I think once for my bachelorette party. Yeah, I just do my own nails because my nails grow really fast.
Okay.
I keep them short.
That must be hard.
But I can't commit to one nail color for a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone getting gel and stuff, they last forever. And I know that's like the great thing about it is they last forever, but that would kill me. I need a new nail color. I need to change it up every week.
I can't relate because I am one of those people that I need to do high maintenance things to be a low maintenance person.
Right. Yes.
Because I'm too chaotic to devote time on a regular basis. So I like getting my nails done, and it doesn't bother me if they're halfway grown out. If they last for 8 weeks, I'm thrilled. And Mahout Nail Bar, shout out.
That's 2 months.
I know.
I couldn't commit to one color for 2 months. That would kill me.
Oh, I can. Because I go through, like, my nails inspire my era and vice versa. So then I just live out that era.
I like that.
A few months. And also, if I've ever tried to do my nails, rest assured, I get antsy and a fingerprint is on it. I'm like, fuck. And then I just get discouraged.
That's like my relaxing time is when I do my nails. It's like a full routine for me. On the weekend, I set aside like an hour of time, throw on some Netflix and do my nails.
That's what the dream is. That's what most people think it is. And then they just end up getting frustrated. Or like me, one time I'm like, I can't do regular nail polish, so I'll just teach myself acrylics. Went to CVS, got the cheapest acrylic stuff. And I had clumps of just black coal on my nails. And then I couldn't get them off. So
didn't work.
Yeah.
I also, at the beginning of the year, the newest like trend they were saying is we're doing clean minimalist nails, like natural nail colors.
Yeah.
And I tried it for 1 week and I was like, no, this is just not me.
I need an example of what good flesh-colored nails look on someone who doesn't naturally just have perfect cuticles and a filter in the photo. Like if I match my natural skin tone, it would be...
Doesn't need to match your natural skin tone. I think the idea was just like a nice, like super neutral, sheer color. But yeah, that was too boring for me. Yeah. And my nail polish collection is extensive. Wow. So I can't...
Do you throw out nail polishes? Like,
I did recently go through and throw out a couple that were old that I haven't used.
I heard a good tip with makeup to like write the date you purchased it on.
Oh no, I just shake it up, go by the consistency of it. You can tell.
Oh, okay.
I know putting it in your refrigerator is supposed to make it last longer, but I don't have the real estate in our refrigerator for all my nail polish.
You need a mini fridge for that.
I should get a mini fridge for my nail polish.
I honestly should give you mine because I don't use it. So we need to talk about our field trip of the week, which was
our newest segment.
We were in the business world this week. We were women in economics. We were just up with the big boys. Yeah. And I now know we
experienced
adversity
firsthand what it's like to be a female in, I mean, we already know.
We went up against the patriarchy, okay?
We did. We needed Taylor Swift's The Man playing as our soundtrack.
Yes.
The whole time we were there. Well, we can explain where we were.
Let's explain where we were.
It's called Feed the Founders. So it's put on every month in our town by a company that literally helps fund startup companies.
Simone Kendall, who is the CEO of Wove, they're a custom engagement business. It's a veteran founded business. And the idea is it's supposed to be like the Warby Parker of engagement rings.
And Wove is technically still a startup.
It's a little baby.
So that's why Simone was at this event that we were at, because she's technically still part of a startup. So she was there to kind of talk about how she became the CEO and like where she started from and her whole journey to get where she was. And mind you, we were 2 of maybe 3 women that were there. And she started dropping some juicy details about how Taylor Swift's TNT bracelet came to be.
And I was just looking around like, oh my God, the Swifties didn't catch whiff of this.
Nobody else in the room was realizing the gravity of the information that we were getting.
I started
One
crying.
man barely knew Taylor Swift's last name.
Excuse me, when you give to Taylor Swift's, plural. Nope, sir. It's the Taylor Swift. Like, you should know the Beatles of our generation. Yeah. Whoa. And I just felt like we were sitting on a diamond in the rough of information. And she was lovely. I would want to work from her. Besides the Taylor Swift of it all.
Yes.
She was just what she called a millennial boss in that she's still very data driven. She went to Wharton, but she's like, I'm not afraid to be like, yo, Joe, like, what's up today? You seem off. Like, she's very all about the whole person. And that was really showcasing the best of millennial CEOs.
Managers.
She was phenomenal. And they partnered with, what's the tennis player?
Michelle Wee West.
Yes, for these custom diamond bracelets. And she's friends with Travis. And she described it as they texted him not knowing if it would come of anything.
Michelle texted him because they were together in New York City, I think, finalizing Michelle's collab. And Michelle was like, you know what? Travis just started dating Taylor. Like, maybe he would want to get her something like this for Christmas coming up. And so Michelle texted Travis while they were together to tell him about this. And Simone had said, like, we put it out there and we just waited. We didn't hear back for like months.
Yeah.
Until finally
he said he's interested, and they had to do like all hands on deck to get it out.
Because everything they make is custom made. And she said generally any of those custom items take 3 months for them to make, and they needed it in, what did she say, like 3 days?
Weeks, like,
or 3 weeks. It was
but still,
a very
to
fast
source
turnaround.
the diamonds, to complete the design process, to like finish the design, get it in production. Like, they're in Lancaster literally constructing this.
She was explaining how they were like flying on planes to get everything they needed and to get it to him. And then when they finally got it to him, they didn't know when he was going to give it to her or when they were going to see it on her.
It arrived at Chiefs Stadium, they said.
And so they were just waiting to get a glimpse of this bracelet.
And then the money shot went in.
Yes, that was the money shot.
Wait, real quick, aside.
Is that your money shot?
Show my money shot. I'm really excited. I got it on Etsy. It's a vintage used watch, and it doesn't say the right time, but I just feel like I'm a woman now.
It doesn't work?
No, it does work. I haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay.
But I'm thrilled about it. So, money shot. I'm really excited about it. Anyways, they got the money shot, and they were like, this could be our home run, but then it was even better than they imagined because everyone was like, what bracelet is that? They were in over 70 publications. Like, their obstacle was brand awareness. No one knows they exist, and they hit the pinnacle of brand awareness. And by just
taking a chance, because they didn't even know if it was going to land or anything come from it, and it did. And
she put it herself on the line as a new CEO to be like, put in all these extra hours, all this work for something that wasn't necessarily going to pan out, but it did in the biggest way possible. And we just hope that Taylor gets her engagement ring from them. Kind of, you could say we were involved in the process, you know. We spoke with the great mind behind the engagement, the CEO. So I just would feel like we're a part of history. And I can tell based on your face that you know that's delusion, but I'm willing just to sit in the delusion and say that we're part of this with Taylor.
Okay.
Moving on. So the climax of the event, Meg's playing it cool, sitting there like, we'll talk to her when we talk to her. And I'm like, no, stand up. We need to get our bodies in line to talk to her after it was over. Yeah. I see a man who very unassuming, very not intimidating.
I mean, let's be real. Everybody there was pretty unassuming. Yeah. Just like general businessmen.
But I saw him starting to box this out. And I was like, Meg.
It took me back to the time of being out in a bar and trying to like get to the bar, to the bartender to get a drink. And you have these guys who are like pushing in, and you got to be aggressive and really like get in there.
Yeah.
That's what I equate this to.
Yes. And also, there were 3 people in line. The person talking to her, us, and him. And so he's boxing us out. And then he starts trying to make, small talk. And I'm like, Meg, no. Like, don't. He's like, let me butt in there. And
he said, would you mind if because he had already asked if we were in line. He said, are you in line to speak with Simone? And I said, yes, we are. We're next. He goes, okay.
That's the way lines work, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
He acknowledged that we were next in line, so he waited off to the side, and then not less than 5 minutes later, he comes up to us again and says, do you mind, I'm in a rush. Specifically, he's in a rush.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind if I just hop in there? I just want to get a quick picture. I promise I won't talk and linger, and then I'm really sorry. Super apologetic. So to me, I'm like, sure, dude, get your picture and be gone. Yes.
This man.
So I was like, cool. We let him in front of us to get his picture.
He takes his picture and he goes in and chats
this
girl up. And we were like, are you kidding me? What do we look like? Do we look like we're just like, we need to have a conversation about business. We're here for business. You seem like you're just here for a picture. But that's what it is, being women in business.
We were victims of the patriarchy.
And then cue the man, and
it was honestly laughable because
then we went to Cavilar, which is
we go to get burgers afterwards, and he's there in line for his burger. That was the rush that he was in.
It'll make us stronger.
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time, and that's why we're here, just forging our own path. And when we're number one on Spotify and Apple, he'll be sorry.
He will be.
He'll be sorry. And I said the irony is if he ever worked for Meg in the workplace, she would eat him up because
he was
Meg's a
meek little man,
force to be reckoned with. We have some big topics to cover today. We're going to start with J-Lo's
documentary specifically, not her.
There's so much going on, but specifically her documentary, not her halftime documentary, not her musical film, the first ever of its kind. This is a love story from J-Lo to J-Lo. No one else asked. Ben Affleck even said,
quite literally, nobody asked for this. It's not like somebody was tapping her on the shoulder like, J-Lo, people are just dying to get your story. Please, we have to make this happen. Nope, nobody asked for it.
Okay, let's just summarize just some key points. So apparently the greatest love story never told was in talks to be produced by a company that dropped out. But J-Lo had already had her documentary in full swing. So we're watching a documentary that she put together cover her making of This Is Me Now, a love story, a musical film, first ever of its kind, forging a new genre. So she took a bet on herself for a genre that no one asked for, about a story no one cares about. No production company wanted anything to do with it. She put $20 million of her own dollars.
So
and they
she
dropped
had
out.
a finance deal for $30 million, and they dropped out last minute because they said, quote, too much was being bitten off. So there were people out there with the forethought to be like, this isn't something we want to back. This is
and that
too
was
much.
$30 million. They said it's too much being bitten off.
So people were already, the signs were there.
The signs were there. She said,
no,
I'm going to take a bet on myself. And
$20 million
did not pay off because I did look it up. Her album debuted at 38 on the Billboard 200 and quickly dropped off within 2 weeks. So quite literally no one cared about this comeback album.
Because nobody was asking for a J-Lo comeback album. Nobody was asking for it.
No one cares about her music, quite frankly.
Or her acting either.
Or her acting.
So
no. And
I think this is a perfect example of what happens when you are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, so you have an expendable income, and you surround yourself with yes people.
Yeah.
She surrounded herself with the closest people in her life. Everybody that was either producing, choreographing a part of this production, she has been friends with for decades.
Yes.
So nobody in that corner with her was going to say no. I mean, they were saying no off to the side and questioning her off to the side, but to her face, nobody was going to actually challenge her.
Yeah.
And because she was self-funding herself, she had nobody to answer to. So she quite literally could do whatever she wants. And this is the product of it.
First of all, I was trying to watch and understand, we've seen other celebrity documentaries. What differentiates this that makes it so cringeworthy? And I figured it out. For example, Kanye, before he went off the deep end, his documentary was from someone he worked with's point of view, following his art. The narrative was someone else kind of admiring Kanye. So that's one way to take it. Or it's Taylor Swift putting out Miss Americana and really kind of exposing a vulnerable aspect of
showing
her development.
The behind the scenes.
Yeah,
of
learning to use her voice
yes.
and learning the power of her influence and talking out about politics. Hers was completely look how great I am. Look how sick I am.
Look at all these hardships I've come out of
her
and
trauma.
Look at where I am.
She was a middle child. That was her trauma. And her
hardships, she came from the Bronx.
Oh, the block.
Yeah.
went to a bodega, got a ham and cheese and an orange juice. If you know, you know.
People who are actually from the Bronx are speaking out, and they want no part of her. They're like, leave us alone. Go away from. We don't want you on the block. You are not. Nope.
We don't. What block are you from?
We do not want you to speak for us.
No. Yeah, and also someone else I saw made a TikTok, which I felt, and they were like, this is an example why being a Leo is like,
she's
a crippling personality
would be
trait.
A Leo.
I'm a Leo.
Wow.
And but honestly,
makes so much sense.
If I made a movie, it would be better. I would make it smarter to be like, I can't make it a complimentary thing of me. Like every shot was just her.
That's such
like,
a Leo thing to do.
I know, but she wasn't even
That's
smart.
amazing.
Such a Leo thing to do. Oh my God, such a Leo.
I would like to talk about Ben Affleck. This man. Oh, first of all, we all need a Ben Affleck in our life. He's a realist.
Riley's
and
my Ben Affleck.
This man, this poor man, this was like heartbreaking to me.
Justice for Ben Affleck.
His gift to her was this heartfelt, sincere, private collection of handwritten notes that he has written to her over the years of their love story and relationship. He had it made into a special book. And this, what does she do? She puts it on her table in her
dollar signs.
Cash cow. She puts it on the table of her recording studio. Everybody come. Read. Everybody read. They nicknamed this man Pen Affleck, which bullying.
And
Literally put it all on display. These private musings for everybody to read. And she uses this as her fodder for everything. And he quite literally said, because she calls it the greatest love story never told. And he says, quote, he's like, I'm trying to make sense of this. If you're making a record about it, that seems like quite literally like you're telling it. And this is the greatest love story never told. Yeah. But you are telling it now. He does not want this to happen. He is historically a very private man.
That's why their relationship faltered in the first place, because he couldn't take the public scrutiny. So what is she going to do the second go around?
Not learning from the past, not respecting that he does not want to be amused. He does not want to have all this out there. And she is trying to negate it to be like, he's not comfortable with it, but he understands I'm an artist and I have to do it. I just have to do it.
If she was an artist, that means she would have had to keep making albums. She didn't have to keep making albums. All she saw was a cash opportunity, and she underestimated how much people care about Bennifer. No one cares. You're married. We got it. This was my favorite scene. I know what they say about me, that hopeless romantics are weak. I believe in magic. I believe in soulmates. I believe in hummingbirds. Ma'am, hummingbirds are very much real. Mm-hmm. She started making this metaphor. What's she talking about? Hummingbirds aren't real. They're not unicorns. They exist. This woman, she wrote her own script. She wrote her own.
Which the ironic thing is that Ben Affleck is quite literally an Oscar winner for multiple, like he's directed multiple Oscar winning movies, and he has to sit there and watch.
I think this is like
passion project.
This reminds me of when I was young. I decided to draw a bunch of pictures, and as I started drawing them, I'm like, I got to pump them out faster. So they went down in quality. And I went down on the street and started selling them for 25 cents, 50. And my parents were probably like, so cute. My parents, competent business people, could have given me advice, but they said, let her have her fun.
This is the equivalent to...
That's what he's doing. Let her have her fun. For me,
forcing your parents to sit on the couch and put on like a music video, dance show that you choreographed as a 12-year-old. Yeah. And they're sitting there like, great job, honey. Good job. Keep it up.
And I think she's like, you know what? I'm really going to be taken seriously, and I'm going to play hardball. Guys, $20 million. You got to get the budget down. And later they're like, this schedule is too aggressive. There's a reason that production companies have backed out. And then she's like pretending to be an expert in conveyor belts, in soil composition. Let me feel that soil.
No, that was the scene that got me. So she goes to like the first day of filming in this like conveyor belt room. Yeah. They all get there. They realize the conveyor belt's not going to work. In my mind, like time is quite literally money. So you're already there. You have everybody. You've made everybody come. The conveyor belt's not working. So like, let's make use of this time. No. J-Lo's like, I got to get in the car. I got to go, guys. Meanwhile, everybody's coming up to her like, wait, can you look at these umbrellas? Can you look at this mud? Can you look at... They all have questions because they can't access her any other way. And she's like, sorry, guys.
She's like, I'm exhausted. Get in the car. It's
ma'am. What did you expect?
Everything in this movie. Wait. They're like, wait. No. There's no one running this but you, so I guess we ask you, but you're running away. What do we do?
She doesn't want to like partake in it. She's like, no.
I'm exhausted.
I'm in the car pulling the window up. She's out. Like, And they're literally like giving her boxes of mud in the car.
Yeah, and then she's like, add some water. And then, well, I'm like, how are you, like, familiar with the elements to this extent? Like, what are you talking about?
There was one point where she compared herself to Prince, which...
I missed that. Wow.
Oh, she was comparing her music... What are we calling it? A musical... It's not a music video.
It's a musical film.
Film.
Yes.
Okay. Synonym for video, but okay. Yes, she compared her...
So true. No, Meg, it's a higher echelon. It's a film.
It's a...
Even though it was filmed in a green screen room, it's a film.
It's just a longer length music video. Anyways, she compared her music film to that of Prince's Purple Rain movie that he made.
No.
And we're not putting ourselves on the same tier as Prince.
But she did.
She did.
Most movies of a documentary makes you intrigued to see the musical film.
I feel like I got exhausted. It all just from that.
I was exhausted. I needed no further knowledge of that.
I did not watch the film. I feel like we got all of the basic
I'm good on
scenes down from it. And I will go to say that it didn't seem like there was anything new or innovative in this film.
A lot of green screen. As a dancer, very cliche tropes. Singing in the rain, like she's in a downfall of rain with an umbrella. We've seen it. There's quite literally singing in the rain. It's a classic. We had the dancing in the mud, like throwing the mud around in our improv class. We brought in a bunch of dirt, and like that's just like a thing that dancers do. You dance in some dirt and mud. Yeah. The whole glass house, very like metaphorical, and then she's wrapped up in ropes. Another trope. There was nothing new. I feel like it would have been one thing if she was doing something that had never been done before, super like actually artistic, where people would have been like, wow, this is truly cutting edge and just we've never seen this before. No, instead she went for a length we've never seen before, which is an hour. The musical film, I was like, should I watch it for the sake of like reviewing on the podcast?
No.
An hour. No. You could have cut your budget right there. Because people can never get back an hour of their life. 15 minutes, I don't really care about.
That's not 30 minutes.
Like, do that. An hour long of more of that? I couldn't do it. I'm not strong enough. You know, I come on here each week saying, okay, we need to infuse a little more positivity. And the positivity is understanding that you will never lack quite as much self-awareness as J-Lo in this lifetime. So I'm a Leo, but I'm not that Leo. When she was like, we need Bad Bunny. Oh, he's at a wedding. Whose wedding?
No, that was Derek Huff. It was quite literally his wedding. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere it was his wedding. And she's like, nah, call him.
Let me get.
And they're like, no,
2 minutes with Derek.
Or he was in a wedding. He was like a part of this wedding. I saw somebody mention how for her to put in the documentary the scenes of her name dropping these people and be like, Taylor Swift, no, saying all these big names.
It's true.
Who said no and turned her down, but keeping it in there was a way for her to protect herself. And in the end, if this film came out and it was super successful, she could look back on this documentary and be like, see, you said no.
I think that's what she was
didn't want to be a part of it. You said no. But for us in hindsight, those people are like, thanking their lucky stars like, no shit, we didn't want to be part of this. Thank God we weren't.
Khloe Kardashian's scenes were planned for Khloe Kardashian, and somewhere along the way, Chris was like, that's a sinking ship. Get off of that thing.
So instead she got Fat Joe, who again, the people who were a part of her film were people who were in her very close circle. Like Fat Joe, she's been doing music with since the 90s. Jane Fonda, she's been doing movies with for years and decades.
Jane Fonda, I live for Jane Fonda. She was like, you got to cut it out with the paparazzi photos. Like, cut it out. She's like, that's my real life. And she's like, no, it ain't. Like, stop it.
Sofia Vergara was probably in it because like the whole Latina, they probably maybe bonded on that.
She definitely.
The only person I was disappointed in was Post Malone. You're so much better than that.
And then she goes, you've been in movies before, right? Shut up.
You've been in Monster-in-Law and The Man in Manhattan. And
I liked the one of when she went to the sperm bank. I like that. It reminds me of Lala. That was her best work. Get a new PR team. Like she needs to ride the more retirement.
We need a pivot and maybe do some brand sponsorships.
J-Lo Beauty. Why didn't you put more into that? Like it's there. You might as well just dive in.
I think the best way to put this documentary, I can't take credit for this, but somebody described it as creative narcissism at its best. And I think that is just the perfect
so true
way to describe this.
Okay. We did it. We dove in this week and we watched.
There was a lot of heavy
material
watching this week.
Quiet on Set, which we have to talk about it just because Nickelodeon is what joins millennials and Gen Zs.
It truly is the Venn diagram, that center.
Yeah, and we need to talk
two generations.
About it.
What shows on Nickelodeon do you remember?
That's a good question.
Watching.
So I didn't realize that, like Drake and Josh. I watched Drake and Josh. I didn't realize that was so much earlier. Actually, like it started so much earlier in the '90s than say iCarly. So iCarly, when that premiered, like the show said, it really was a cultural reset. I remember watching it with my best friend, and I remember that encompassed everything a girl of that age dreamed of. Like, I'm kind of living it out right now, my own iCarly, like a girl starting her own web show. And like Sam, I did have a crush on Jeanette McCurdy. I did look up her email and I did email it and just asked to be friends, and I shot my shot.
Yeah.
We did not become pen pals like I dreamed. I'm surprised she didn't have time for that. Yeah, so iCarly was definitely my favorite. Drake and Josh was also my favorite. Like, that was a classic for me too, as born in 97. I wasn't interested in Victorious. So I was at that age, but I just wasn't
Victorious
interested.
was like after iCarly.
Yeah,
on the
like
scale of
yeah, and
the
like
timeline.
Sam and Cat, I was not at all. Like, I would look at that show and be like, come on, why does that show exist?
Gotcha.
So how about you?
So for me, it was more all that and the Amanda Show and Zoe 101. I remember watching Zoe 101 and thinking like, that was so cool. Like, I wanted to be Zoe 101. And I also watched Drake and Josh, but that was more like my brother. He's also millennial, but was born 3 years after me. But I remember watching it with him. So also Drake and Josh, not as much iCarly, but the Amanda Show and like those earlier, all that were what I remember watching.
I do remember that name, Dan Schneider, being on the show so clearly.
Yeah. And I remember the scenes from him being in the show too, but not knowing at the time, obviously, who he was. I remember specifically that hot tub scene on the Amanda Show with Amanda and him in the hot tub. And I remember watching that, but obviously at the time, not putting together who that was, but seeing it back now, I'm like...
I mean, I always remember seeing photos of him and not on any deep level, just being like, something doesn't fit. The documentary did such a good job of describing his villain origin story. I don't know, one of the writers said it, that Dan Schneider is a perfect example of like having arrested development. As he grew in power, he vied for the attention of attractive females, even if they were 12, and to humiliate others, as he had been humiliated as like this overweight kid growing up. Not to excuse any of it, but it really did paint the picture. It was so disturbing to the point of like, I would want my kids to watch those shows just to experience shows that I liked when I was little. And now I'm so perturbed by it that I don't know if I would want them watching that.
No, not at all. I mean, my parents weren't sitting down on the TV with my brother and I watching the Amanda Show. So I can see how parents might not have realized the very deep sexual innuendos in these children's shows, and how children watching it, it's not going to fully resonate with them. But if I were a parent watching that show now, I'd be like, what the hell are my kids watching? You're not watching this. This is so inappropriate.
Yeah.
And so to then see parents on the set talking from their perspective, they knew that it was inappropriate. They knew there were things going on the set. It's the perfect example of power imbalances.
Exactly.
But it also goes to show how even a parent who is the same age as this person in power still felt like they didn't have the power to speak up and say something. And if they did, they were kind of pushed out, or their kid was pushed out. They had to have that internal battle of, well, this is my kid's dream. Do I compromise on this to make sure they stay on the show, or do I actually speak up and be the outspoken parent that nobody likes? The
female writers, the interviewers, they were like, do you recall? And they started saying a story in which she was like sexually harassed in the workplace. And she shut down, and she was like, I don't want to talk about it. Like that, I totally respect her decision, and she shouldn't have to talk about that. But it made me sad because it showed there was some part of her that's still ashamed, when I wanted to be like, that is not your burden to carry. That is his burden to carry. He was a person in power asking you to do that, and your future, your career was held in his hands. Like, it just made me so mad. But it did make me think that a future use of AI could be, this is really abstract, so go with me for a second, where kid actors and actresses like what if we used AI to distort their faces so that they're able to protect their privacy in a sense? Like, you're not with me, I can tell. But then when they're 18, they can decide, like, okay, do I want AI? Do I want to continue?
On the TV show?
Yeah, so that people can't recognize them.
I think the bigger issue, we shouldn't need AI to distort your face. Like, if that is being on TV and television, it is a job. And I think it comes down to the workplace being a safer place.
Oh, no.
And that shouldn't even be happening. I think distorting their faces. But as a person on TV, I don't think I'd want I want to be known for who I am.
Yeah, that's true. I just so many times, I'm not really talking about the Nickelodeon thing. I'm talking in general. Kids don't know what they're signing up for in that age. And it is just this like really complicated thing of like, even if a kid wants to be an actor or an actress, like they're not fully aware of what they're signing up for. But that's kind of a separate conversation. The first conversation is that this was a horrific work environment with absolutely no checks and balances. Did you see their statement they've put out? It is the biggest bunch of BS that I've ever seen, because they're not saying this is something that we're like deeply ashamed of. They're saying we have been investigating this. We feel good with our investigative process.
Really?
And then Dan Schneider's interview.
First of all, the interview was quite literally put on by an ex-cast member from iCarly, an employee of his.
I know.
So if you actually wanted to make this a legitimate apology and statement, like, who's going to take this seriously?
Yeah.
Nobody, first of all, is taking you seriously at all. But you're now going to have the
comments
cast
were
member.
like,
of course, he's not going to ask him hard questions because like he's going to pick somebody to interview him who is on his side.
Yeah. And it's like Stockholm syndrome. And
this man,
the fact he's
I'm
like,
so embarrassed. You're embarrassed.
You should honestly be walking yourself into jail if you recognize the weight of your actions.
Yeah.
Interview and not jail is crazy.
The disconnect is disgusting.
I was like, if the crime wasn't quite so horrific, then I would be like, wow, at least he's being honest. But it's so horrific, and maybe he didn't do anything illegal, but he was still a key player in a situation where there were many illegal things happening. I will forever have chills when they were interviewing the people who were on Nickelodeon and saying, oh, the accusations about
children actors, and they're like, oh, well, never been anybody on our set.
And they're like, it does. And then Drake Bell walks out. Chills. And did you know Amanda Bynes turned down the...
I'm not surprised. That's a tell-all. I think that would be...
So it's hard to tell.
Heartbreaking, because she was a victim.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Do you remember there's this thing on Twitter where she apparently had a Twitter name that was like Ashley. It was under a different name than her own name, but it was a well-known thing that she was running it. And she claimed that she was impregnated by a producer, they didn't mention by name, and forced to have an abortion. And that has been widely speculated that it's Dan Schneider. And this happened years ago. And now she claims that she doesn't have the same experience as the people who went on. And it's like, she was in a conservatorship.
Yeah, you can't look at her now and be like, no, she wasn't a victim in any of this. It's very apparent. I grew up watching her too, like the Amanda Show. And then I loved her on She's All That. Yeah. Loved that show. I was obsessed with She's All That. She's the Man, like the movies that she was in.
She had just talent.
Her evolution, like she was on an upward trend, and then quite literally childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And it not being dealt with. And this is the aftermath of it.
Yeah. And it's so sad. She was such a talent.
Very sad. And there's definitely obviously still work to be done as far as being a child actor and like what that workplace looks like and the safety nets that need to be put in place, and like why hasn't that happened?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And Drake's dad, he needs to teach a master class in just fathers being aware. Like that's what there needs to be. There should be, like, if you want to start your kid in as a child actor, as a parent, you should have to go through like courses or classes on the basics of just things like contracts that you're signing, how to keep your kid safe, what to look out for, what you can say, like what your powers are and rights as a parent. That's in that so world. True. Oh my gosh, Meg.
Should be a requirement. Like if you want your kid to be on this set, you need to show that you have gone through this type of
that is training. So true. And he needs to be like a public
and he should
speaker.
Because he saw all the signs, and he was the one who, I can't imagine as a father or a parent what he feels now. And like I'm sure he blames himself.
I know.
100% for all of it, because he saw it all and he was pushed out for that to open up for Drake to then be like
abused.
It's so
sad.
It's heartbreaking. It's really sad.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's only a matter of time before Disney comes out with their own documentary, because the Disney Channel was probably not all hunky-dory.
All clean. And the fact that Brian Peck got hired on The Sweet Life, I'm like, what are these background checks doing?
These men, so there were 2 pedophiles that we know of, at least, that have gotten that got arrested, and they each went to jail for like, the first one was in jail for like 15 months, and I don't know how long Brian was in jail for, but they're out and they're working. Like, where are what do you mean?
Back in Hollywood, like, Drake Bell has had DUIs and other accusations, he's more sequestered than Brian Peck, who committed the crimes,
and a known child sex offender, and you're hiring him. Like,
it's so disgusting.
Wild.
So wild. I think we are going through this public reckoning of the way we treated like Amanda Bynes, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan,
Paris Hilton,
in the past year or two. And I watched Call Her Daddy with Megan Fox, and part of that interview was definitely Megan talking about how paparazzi used to follow her, and it's like bully her, like in the true meaning of the word bully. Like, do you hate yourself? Are you happy with that 10th nose job? Do you think you have any worth? Like, following her around like that. And the Perez Hiltons like really just absolutely tore them apart. So
Perez Hilton was the worst.
Oh my gosh.
He was such a bully.
I knew of him when I was younger. I can still imagine what his webpage looked like. I was probably peeking over my sibling's shoulder watching that. Slander. Like, if you sat Meg and me down. I don't know why I called you Megan. I've never called you Megan in my life.
I thought you were referencing if you and Megan Fox sat down.
I think that's why it's no. If you watched us and analyzed our brain waves as we were listening to that interview, this would be the true divergence of our personalities. Because I was like, oh my god, is Megan Fox my twin flame? Would that make MGK my twin flame too? Like, I loved her in the interview, and you'd probably be like, what the.
No, I love Megan Fox.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love her. I think she is so interesting, and I think she is an example of people hate her, and they talk about this in the interview, hate her because she is a conventionally attractive person, and people can't believe you can be that and a smart, intellectual person.
I thought that interview was great. She's super well spoken. Mm-hmm. She was very upfront and honest with all the questions that she asked. I loved the interview.
I loved it. And then she's like, let's go through what I had done. And she went through, and then midway through, she's like, oh, I'm not going to tell that one. But even that transparency, I appreciated more than, Kardashian interviews. And I know the public is brutal and the Kardashians, as am I. But sometimes I feel like they put out a very curated answer as to the procedures they had done, where I just felt this level of transparency with Megan Fox, that it's like, if you're going to speak on it, be honest. And she was, and I loved it. She wasn't trying to say answers for the PR of it all. She was saying if I got a BBL, you would know, because if I get a surgery and I'm putting under anesthesia, I want you to tell. I want to walk and people say, oh my gosh, look at her butt. She was very honest about it. And then at one point in the interview, they're like, oh, she was talking about relationships. She's like, I love toxicity. And you could tell Alex Cooper was expecting her to kind of come full circle and be like, but I've learned that I really need to seek stable relationships. Nope. She's like, I love toxicity. I never had something stable. She was being honest about her story, and I loved it. And then she truly believes she was a witch burned at a stake in the past life.
She's on her last life now. She's been very vocal about that. She's like, this is my last life, because she was talking about just being lonely, about how she doesn't have a lot of people, close people in her life. And she's like, I've been told that I am on my last life and I have a very old soul. And so therefore, that's why I am a lonely person, because this is I've done it all already in my past lives, and this is where I'm at. Okay,
so we have our new Bravo show, The Valley.
Yes, we do.
I love it. It's great. I think it's hitting all the marks.
I'm not going to say I love it yet.
I liked it. I was more entertained. Coming off of Vanderpump Rules, I'm like, oh, okay. So
I'm cautiously intrigued.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I just go straight through.
I'm not hopping in with both feet yet.
Yeah.
But I think what made me like it more is probably because it was offset by the fact that Vanderpump Rules is DNR in my book.
Oh my god, no! I'm
DNR.
tired.
they're going downhill real fast.
I know.
The most recent episode, we saw a bunch of randos at a pool party at Tom Sandoval's house, and we watched Joe and Schwartz paddleboard on a swan boat and talk about ducks.
Yeah.
Or turtles. Joe is not somebody that I want to see on my TV every
Everyone
week.
hates Joe, and I'm gonna be honest, I think Joe's actually, I kind of like her. Like, she's kind of quirky.
No.
I don't think she's made for
She's
TV.
the definition of the worst parts of a millennial just meshed into
said that.
one person.
Yes.
I can't watch
I
her.
think she's kind of quirky,
No.
but I'm not interested in watching her on.
So therefore, on the alternate end of the spectrum, the Valley seemed quite refreshing compared to this shit show that's going on right now, Vanderpump.
I mean, it's kind of sad that I'm pretty sure Brittany and Jax are no longer living together. Another couple has announced separation since filming Wrapped, so marriages are just dropping left and right.
Surprised.
But that's what happens when...
Yeah, I didn't take a lot of notes. I kind of just wanted to watch it with fresh eyes and just really focus. Main thing that jumped out at me, though, is Kristen is 40 years old, which... not age shaming by any means, but when I heard she was 40, I was, what? Wow, surprising.
A lot of them are, yeah.
And she is dating Luke, who spends 99% of his time in Colorado, which at first I was like, that doesn't sound great. But on second thought, might be the secret sauce to a successful relationship for dating Kristen.
This is true.
You need to spend 99% of your time in another state.
This is very true. And maybe she finally is figuring that out at 40. I get the feeling of she wanted to have a baby no matter what. That's an experience she wants to have. Her internal clock is ticking. I've heard of having a baby before you get married. I've heard of that. She's trying to have a baby with a man who doesn't even live on the same coast. So they're really going unconventional.
I really hope Lala steps in. Like, poor Lala. You don't necessarily, in this day and age, you don't need a man.
Yeah, you don't need a man.
I mean, I do like Jax's campaign this episode of, he sounds like he's from yesteryear, saying I can't have a child out of wedlock. But at the end of the day, we don't need to force it.
Again, not to mention this movie for the second time in a row, but
you can still have a child.
Jennifer Lopez, like, maybe she should, head on over to a sperm bank, and if the relationship works out, great.
Cool. But let's not put all of our eggs, quite literally all of her eggs,
in one basket. All of her eggs, yeah.
Because we know there's not many left. So Jax actually was, oddly, the voice of reason. He was raising some good points.
Jax was on one. He couldn't be more excited to be back on the small screen.
Pumped.
He is
had the cameras back in the house.
He is ready to go. I imagine him like a kid, this. Like Brittany trying to like calm
Christmas
him down.
Eve, like
he pants
so
someone.
Excited.
Brittany, I don't know who advised her to get that surgery so close to the beginning of filming, because people are already like tough on her jaw, and then her mouth got stuck and her jaw was so rigid, and
they needed something to film.
They needed something.
The producers probably asked, let's wait a little bit to have the surgery until it butts right up to start filming.
Yeah, that's true.
Gotta get some content right away.
We need some good screen grabs.
So another couple, all I have is Miss USA and child actor from Hannah Montana.
Oh my gosh, she's from Hannah Montana. How did I miss that?
Yeah, I don't know how you missed that. One couple doesn't even live in the Valley. So Jesse and Michelle, they're the ones where I wrote down, are they the couple that's divorced? Because I remember you had said that one of them was divorced.
Yes, that's public knowledge.
That was clear from the beginning that she quite literally hates her husband.
I wonder if they talked about that. Like, hey, are we going to like talk about our fights on the show? Or if he just went for it. In which case, reality TV is for him. The fact that he's not recklessly divulging marriage information.
I mean, not that I will ever be on a reality show one day, but if I did have that opportunity and I was on a reality show, I'm not sure my first foray into the small screen would be me wanting to vocalize how sucky my husband and how much I hate him.
I know, but that's what makes good reality TV.
So but they really took a chance. Like you said.
Really took a chance.
Clearly didn't pay off because they're no longer together. And then we've got Zach and Jasmine, who are just roommates. They only fit in because of their weird loose connections too, but they're not parents. They're both single.
No.
I definitely think they check some boxes for demographic of
which I hope that
what they need to add a little
genuinely fit in, otherwise their time on the show will be short-lived, because if it's not received well and it's purely for the sake of checking boxes, it won't last long.
No.
And that's the trope we want to avoid, like Anne Marie being kicked off of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like, I didn't like seeing her just for one season, because she came out and said she wanted to like show what it's like a healthy, stable life in just a very lovable Black family, but she hasn't been asked to come on another season. That's because they set her up for failure. They put her in the middle of a first season. And I'm actually like, I kind of feel for her because I wish they gave her another season. But I know you don't follow that.
No.
But any other thoughts about the Valley? I mean,
no, like I said, cautiously optimistic. I know I say this every episode, but I think this is even more of an example of how this is going to be Vanderpump Rules last season.
Yeah, because I used to not think it, but now I do.
We had Jax show up on Vanderpump Rules quite literally as a like plant.
Yeah.
To be like, there's Jax, come over and watch him on the Valley.
Yes, yeah.
So they're leading us into the Valley. Lisa Vanderpump's show, whatever it's called, the Chateau, the hotel or something, starts April 1st on Hulu.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to keep up all 3 shows. So
agreed. And I think like Sheena and Brock, Lala, they would do well
they're
on the Valley.
They're going to show up on the Valley, yes, because they have kids.
Honestly, she's not actually that great on reality TV.
Ariana's time is over. She's on Broadway now. Let her do her thing in that world. Tom Sandoval is done. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
There's nobody else I need to watch.
Tom Sandoval like have a baby just to get on the Valley.
This also made me think, I don't know where this came up, but it randomly has been on my TikTok of TMZ videos coming out of Tom Sandoval dating this girl and like videos back from like Valentine's Day of the two of them outside just posing for pictures for the paparazzi, just soaking in the attention. In my head, I'm like, what self-respecting female
I know
can know who this man is and be like, yes, sign me up for this relationship.
I mean, I think that's ulterior motives are at play.
1,000%. But even for ulterior motives, there's got to be other people out there that you can.
I mean, that fruit is on the ground. That is the lowest hanging fruit.
It's not even hanging. It's on the ground. It's been stepped on a couple times.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to pick it up at that point. But clearly, some people out there that are willing to take that risk for salmonella.
That's true.
And more, probably.
That's so true. Yeah, I can't quite wrap my head around it.
Everybody deserves to have somebody, and I do believe he will find somebody that is of equal caliber to him, if you can call it that.
But I would want to be private for at least 2 years to be like, let's make sure if I'm going to put my name out there associated with you, we need to make sure you're fully changed and we're not going to do any photos, any photo ops.
Because right now, that would be the last thing. Even if you are trying to get some boost in your image, this is not going to help your image by posting with pictures of Tom Sandoval on Valentine's Day. Like, no, ma'am, nope.
No.
Try something else.
Yeah, no way. So I'm curious what you think of people speculating is Indie Sleaze making its revival.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Okay, so Indie Sleaze, it was very like Avril Lavigne. It's a lot of distressed denim, acid wash, worn buckles. Not quite hipster.
Did you say worn buckles?
Or worn belts, like buckles. Like, I don't know, just like grungy, random polka dots, skinny jeans. Like, I don't know, all that. And I'm sure
Avril Lavigne is all I need. I got the image from that.
As my dark hair kind of has inspired a new era for me, like I've taken interest in it. And I started Googling just articles, like trying to read, and it is a very controversial subject because people are like, no, Indie Sleaze was at its peak when like, you know, very thin beauty standards and skinny jeans, and that's everything we're not. But then on Vogue, I think it was an article, can we really have Indie Sleaze revival? Vogue fashion writers debate. And it was Christian Allaire and Hannah Jackson. And according to Vogue, Christian Allaire claims, my biggest qualm with the Indie Sleaze is the 2024 lack of sleaze. Because nowadays...
It's also curated. Which I think I'm kind of representing with like...
I am literally what these articles are about. Like, I am the worst. But I think that's okay for trends to come back in kind of a redefined era. And I'm here for it. I think Indie Sleaze will make its comeback in more of like the baggy pants instead of skinny jeans or... things like that. And I'm kind of excited because what it means, in my opinion, is just more eclectic pieces, which is something we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So instead of the smoky eye that someone threw on after a night of clubbing, they'll look on TikTok for Get Ready With Me's for a very curated smoky eye. Whereas it used to be just rolling out of bed, smoking a cigarette.
Quite literally just makeup from last night still on your face.
Yes. Yeah.
Day old mascara and eyeliner.
Instead, we're replacing those leather bombers with like oversized bombers. So that's kind of the streetwear thing I'm into right now. And then another time, not today, we have to go into, I think boho chic is making its revival. Say it. Right as I threw out, I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw this Anthropologie high-low lace, very boho skirt that I had when I was younger. I saw someone is restyling it with like a t-shirt like this and that skirt. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember selling that because I'm like, surely this will never be in style in the next 30, 40, 50 years.
That's my thing though with trends and styles is if you like something, keep it and wear it. I vividly remember being in high school though, where trends quite literally, if you were not wearing the same thing as people in high school, it wasn't a good thing to be different in high school.
That's
it was
big
very
difference.
much like you want to be wearing the same Hollister polo with your Abercrombie low-rise flare jeans, and if you were that kid wearing something different, you were like the thing that stuck out and you did not want to stand out in high school, so you wanted to blend in and be the same. Whereas now I feel like as adults, we're not in high school anymore. Like there's nobody that we need to be blending in with. So if you like something, I think you need to wear it and be less worried about like, is this trendy? Are other people wearing this? It shouldn't matter. Yeah. And I think that's where my whole thing of this idea of the copy pasting of trends of like, now indie sleaze is in. So I'm going to go on Pinterest and I'm going to search indie sleaze and I'm going to take this picture. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to find everything in this outfit and recreate it.
Yeah.
I understand taking like bits and pieces of like, ooh, I love that a brown leather bomber is back in and I'm going to get that and add it, but like taking everything
isn't going to work. Like if I threw a skirt on here, maybe on Pinterest it would pop off, but I'm telling you, I don't wear skirts. I don't wear skirts, and that's something I can't adapt. And it's all about, I think trends are going to come in and out, and whether we realize it or not, we're going to absorb some of them, but it's being conscious of, oh, I actually do like that trend. Let me make sure I'm staying true to myself and true to my likings.
Because otherwise it's not going to look good on you. It's going to be more of like a costume.
Yes.
Where you're trying to adapt just to what you're seeing in the media.
And I think an excellent example of this happened recently on the red carpet where Selena Gomez wore something. This is not indie sleaze related, but she wore this dress that people like fashionistas did not like. The way she was posing, she was feeling herself. Like she had a vision for the dress that in my opinion came through in her poses and the way she was owning it, because maybe it wasn't as on trend or fashionable or didn't hit the mark in the way that certain critiques said, but she owned it in a way that I haven't seen her on a red carpet. And I'm like, that just really does shine through when you feel good in what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Like me with my watch. I just couldn't help but talk about it like 5 times. So, which I don't know if it's going to be a timeless piece because I'm not as put together as a lady who wears a watch, but I'm excited about it.
Considering it's not even the correct time.
It's not the correct
I'm guessing you didn't buy it for function and more for fashion.
Yeah, for sure. So that wraps us up.
Just acknowledging that we said we were doing bi-weekly and now we're on a weekly trend, but we only did this one because it's a holiday weekend coming up, so you can still expect after this a bi-weekly or maybe a weekly. Who knows? I like to keep people on their toes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like to conform to, no, that's a lie. I was going to say I don't like to conform to a schedule. I love a schedule.
Yeah.
But
it's on her time is the point. But yeah, at minimum bi-weekly, at maximum weekly, but we're just accounting for the holiday weekend coming up. And as always, make sure you rate our episode. That would be really much appreciated. Mm-hmm. And we are also on YouTube, and make sure you follow us on TikTok as well. TikTok, we really popped off this week on the last thing I expected, which was just some photo memes that usually get like 10 views. We're almost at 10,000.
I will say the algorithms continue to elude me just kind of day by day. But yeah,
sitting there, really love some support on there.
So yeah, give us a follow.
All right. Thanks for listening. She's probably going to cut that out because it's too cheesy, but